Hey guys, this is your host Thomas Tyree here from On the Hot Podcast. Today, I have some bonus content for you guys. The bonus content I will be covering today will be in the sport of football inside the NFL world. In today's bonus segment, I'll be sharing my own personal list of the greatest NFL draft classes in NFL history. So I have 3 NFL draft classes for you guys today. Starting off, in no particular order by the way, starting off with the 1983 NFL draft class. I do believe that the 1983 NFL draft class is one of the greatest NFL draft classes in NFL history based off of the talent standpoint and how these players' careers turned out. There's a total of 8 NFL Hall of Famers in the 1983 draft class with a total of 42 Pro Bowlers a part of the 1983 draft class. And this draft class honestly has some of the biggest stars from the 1980s and the 1990s in the NFL. You look at John Elway, who is one of the greatest all-time quarterbacks in NFL history, one of the greatest dual-threat quarterbacks in NFL history, won 2 Super Bowl rings with the Denver Broncos. You look at Eric Dickerson, one of the greatest running backs in NFL history, explosive out of the backfield, running the football out of the backfield, or being an explosive pass catcher for his offense, known for his time with the St. Louis Rams, one of the greatest running backs of all time. You look at Bruce Matthews on the offensive line, one of the greatest offensive linemen of all time. You look at Jim Kelly, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history to never win a Lombardi trophy. Same can be said about Dan Marino. They also played in the same division. Dan Marino, reigning supreme with the Miami Dolphins, one of the best NFL players in history to never win a Lombardi trophy. You look at Darrell Green and several others a part of this draft class. I think it's appropriate to put the 1983 NFL draft class as one of the greatest NFL draft classes in NFL history. Ooh, now this is my era. We'll go to 2007. I honestly think the 2007 NFL draft class is one of the greatest NFL draft classes of all time. And there's so many legends, so many icons that I got to grow up watching play the game of football and dominate on any given Sunday. Like, these are some true legends and icons that were part of the 2007 NFL draft. Starting with Marshawn Lynch, beast mode, one of the most dominant running backs in the modern era of football. I mean, what he did running the football, being an explosive runner, hard to bring down. He was hard to bring down. And who could ever forget what he did for the Seattle Seahawks? Helped them win a Super Bowl, but before he even won a Super Bowl, nobody will ever forget the performance that he and the impact that he had when he played. Him and the Seahawks played against the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, the New Orleans Saints, in the 2011 NFL Wild Card round, where he broke at least 9 to 11 tackles and went all the way to the end zone, caused a small earthquake in Seattle, sending the reigning defending Super Bowl champions, the New Orleans Saints, home. One of the best running backs of this modern era. Then you look at Calvin Johnson. Calvin Johnson is a top 5 wide receiver in NFL history. Don't debate me about that. It's just facts. One of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history for the Detroit Lions. Who will ever forget that outstanding performance against my own Dallas Cowboys, where he had 329 receiving yards in one damn game against the Dallas Cowboys defense. The secondary had no answer for him. You'll never see a performance like that duplicated in NFL history. And story time real quick. Fun fact. After I watched that Dallas Cowboys game back in 2013, my friends will vouch for this. We were playing backyard football, and I was just so pissed off about the performance. I was so pissed. I put a neighbor through a neighbor's fence at our local field after that game against the Detroit Lions. True story. You can quote me on that. As I digress, Joe Thomas is also one of the greatest offensive linemen in NFL history, a part of this draft class. Did not get the playoff success that he deserved because he was with the Cleveland Browns his entire career. You look at Joe Staley, the work that he did on the offensive line with the San Francisco 49ers, one of the greatest offensive linemen in NFL history as well. Greg Olsen at the tight end position also came for this NFL draft class. You look at Darrelle Revis, one of my favorite corners in NFL history. Revis Island was a real thing. This man in the prime of his career was locking up the best wide receivers that this game had to offer. Dez Bryant, Andre Johnson, Brandon Marshall, just to name some players a part of that era. He would just lock down Larry Fitzgerald, some other players. Adrian Peterson, an elite running back, top 5 all-time in rushing yards. I think Adrian Peterson is actually the last 9 quarterback to win an NFL MVP award, and he did that coming back from a torn ACL injury back in 2012, 2013. Time is flying. Eric Weddle was also a great safety with the San Diego Chargers at the time. Patrick Willis at the linebacker position, just dominant player on the defensive side of the ball. You can honestly put Patrick Willis in the conversation for being one of the best linebackers in NFL history with Luke Kuechly and Ray Lewis. Hard-hitting player, But that 2007 NFL draft class was honestly pretty special. And then let's go to the 2011 NFL draft. Now, honestly, I think the 2011 NFL draft does not get enough love or enough attention. And I'm looking at the list that people put together over the years. I'm like, why is the 2011 NFL draft not considered one of the greatest NFL drafts of all time? I think it's underrated, and I think this class will get the love that they deserve one day, because there is so much talent top to bottom on both sides of the ball. And honestly, the 2011 NFL draft class has one of the greatest defensive draft classes in NFL history, because the names that are part of this list is insane. Like J.J. Watt, played in the league for 11 to 12 years, did a lot of great things with the Houston Texans. Honestly, could have played longer, but the injuries caught up to him. Had 114 and a half to 115 sacks in his career. Definitely a Hall of Fame player as he's in the Hall of Fame. Von Miller, a dominant edge rusher for the Denver Broncos. Him and DeMarcus Ware were like the Hardy Boys as edge rushers for the Denver Broncos when they won Super Bowl 50 and dominated the Carolina Panthers in the Super Bowl that year. Patrick Peterson was a lockdown corner for the Arizona Cardinals in his prime days. Richard Sherman in his prime was a lockdown corner for the Seattle Seahawks. One out of three players a part of the Legion of Boom. Him, Earl Thomas, Cam Chancellor, a part of one of the greatest defensive DB groups in NFL history. Cam Jordan and Robert Quinn were a part of this NFL draft class as well. But then you flip over to the offensive side of the ball, and there was a lot of talent here too. Superman Cam Newton, one of the greatest dual threat quarterbacks, and opened the door for players like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, and several other good dual threat quarterbacks in this league today. You also have Julio Jones, one of the greatest wide receivers in NFL history, a big body receiver that would go up and get the ball and make money catches anytime your offense needs to move down the field. You look at A.J. Green before the injuries caught up to him. A.J. Green was a special player as well. My guy Tyron Smith, being a Dallas Cowboys fan, honestly, this is one of the greatest Cowboys players to never win a Super Bowl in Dallas Cowboys history. But Tyron Smith gave his body, his heart, and soul to the Dallas Cowboys. Was honestly a part of the Great Wall of Dallas, like I like to call it, when the offensive line was just a mean, well-oiled machine with Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, and Zach Martin. Man, you can't build an offensive line better than that. You look at Jason Kelce, one of the greatest centers of all time. The work that he did with the Philadelphia Eagles, helping them win their first Super Bowl in franchise history. So I think that 2011 NFL draft class, reminiscent, that's a special draft class. And all three of these draft classes are special. But honestly, I do believe that those are the greatest draft classes of all time. That's just my own personal opinion. Those are my favorite, and I think those are the greatest based off of the talent that they had. But that is all the time I have for you guys today. Thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for listening. This is your host, Thomas Tyree, signing off, and I'll see you guys on next week's episode.